helping to literally create a safe space at Back to School Pride Night, because there are people behind us who are full of hate, full of anger, and wanting to protest child grooming, which is not happening here. Has nothing to do with this at all.
People are crying. Like, this is ridiculous.
Right. It's sad that in 2022 people still can't have a safe space. Utah is a dangerous place for queer people, for black people, for marginalized people, and we're doing our best to help.
Bring you an update of the whole gender identity situation and how I'm handling it in my classroom. So the student who originally asked me about, pronouns and identifiers, and if I had them, I went up to her and I asked what the best way for me to go about this with students was. And they told me that I should take the time and individually ask each student privately to know what their identity was, how I should refer to them, and how I should refer to them around their parents, because that's a different issue. I then took a minute to thank them because, this is an important change that I need to make, and I wanted them to know that they're responsible for it. Okay, this is where it gets heartfelt. The way this individual thanked me for what I was trying to do and the attempts I was making, guys, I had to take a minute. There was a little bit of crying. Not in front of her, on my own, in my own car.
In this video, I told you how adults are my problem, and I have to get them to take me seriously, which means I have to consistently remind people to take me seriously. I have to set up boundaries. If people do not use the correct pronouns, the correct language, the correct title, the correct name, then sometimes I am forced to remind them to. And if they continue to refuse, and I don't mean by accident, I mean to actively refuse, then I get to a point where I maybe have to cut them out of my life. Kids, their brains are more elastic than that. They get it, they don't care. They're just here for a good time. And the queer ones, they see me. And they saw me before I was ready to be seen. So I do them a service now, and they call me Mix. In my last
Yeah, they're really not trying to groom children. That's totally not what's happening here. Well, as we all know, that they obviously are, and they're doing to these certain extents. Lives of TikTok does a very, very, very good job of exploiting these type of people out, and we have other people that are also exploiting these things. But it's funny to say that, oh, well, they're not trying to groom children. It's like, okay, maybe not in your specific place, they might not be. However, they are in many other instances, and I would say that the LGBTQ community is actively doing this. So we have to fight back against this. Now, what am I saying here? If I am not saying that we need to prevent the people that are, obviously 18 plus to be doing these surgeries or whatever, okay, what have you. I probably recommend that it should be at least the age of 25, maybe 26, because that's where the brain fully develops, so that means they make their full rational decision. I would probably think that those type of decisions will be even further removed or down by the time you are at that age. I would really like to try that test to where we make it to age of 25 where you can't have surgery for about 2 years, maybe 1, and then we'll see what the actual statistics are and what happens. Because I think people the far left would not like the actual statistics to that. So yeah, we have seen that they're actively trying to groom children, and it's been quite obvious. And we're not trying to remove it from adults from doing that type of stuff. We're removing it so that adults don't let it happen to children. So BYU removes LGBTQ plus resource pamphlet for incoming freshmen. Brigham Young University confirmed it pulled hundreds of LGBT resources pamphlets from the several orientation bags provided to incoming freshmen this semester. The pamphlet, entitled Allyship and Activism Resource Guide LGBTQ Plus Edition, was created by the off-campus LGBTQ support group Rainbow Collective and was approved by the student newspaper, the Daily Universe, as well as the multiple professors. According to a report at the Salt Lake Tribune, the pamphlet included information on counseling, scholarships, and resource advisors. Rainbow Collective paid $200 in printing charges to the Universe, which was subsequently refunded by the newspaper. Some of the pamphlets were allegedly thrown into the trash. This decision is disappointing and disheartening, especially when we consider our experiences as freshmen, feeling lonely, isolated, and unsupported as queer students. Rainbow Collective posted to Twitter, "Unfortunately, it follows a consistent pattern of BYU breaking its promises and agreements with the LGBTQ students." The heartbreaking part is that this is the LGBTQ plus student experience being at BYU. Madison Tenney, founder of the Rainbow Collective, told the Tribune, "You have this beautiful community and you love the school so much and they just don't love you back." BYU spokesperson Kari Jenkins admitted to the Tribune that the school pulled the pamphlets, saying administrators were not aware it was included in the bags and that the pamphlet was ultimately pulled because it became from an outside group. According to Jenkins, BYU provides support through the Office of Belonging and our counseling services, rather than allowing office entities to imply affiliation with or endorsement from the university. Jenkins went on to say that the school will review the approval process with the newspaper. This is not the first time BYU has created controversy with its policies and campus climate for LGBTQ plus students. Last year, LGBTQ plus students lit up in rainbow colors the school's famous Y that overlooks the school. 50 BYU students held up this lights for 1 hour in the cold. Students planned this. I do some of the old people work, but the students' life always should be. Also, last year, a student was expelled after he used anti-gay epithets while erasing LGBTQ plus artwork from a sidewalk outside the school. So, this is pretty much what's going on. Earlier this year, BYU reached out religious exemption for its LGBTQ plus policies from the U.S. Department of Education. Repeat this. Earlier this year, BYU received a religious exception for its anti-LGBTQ plus policies from the U.S. Department of Education and Office of Civil Rights, dismissing a complaint that alleged BYU violated federal law by discriminating against LGBTQ plus students. So, that's where we have it here. So, essentially, they're just, remove pamphlets of the LGBTQ plus thing. Now, if we go back to here and we go to this BYU resource pamphlets, they talk about this here to where this is by NBC News to where that the university students restrict students from dating or showing signs of affection toward members of the same sex, which is obviously a lie because this is not what's going on here essentially. As far from what I am seeing. They're just banning things outright. Now, here's my full opinion on this type of stuff. In general, with the with stuff with the LGBTQ stuff and all that on this matter. Now, my point with this is that I think that in particular, I think that church should allow gay or same-sex marriage in the church because I don't see how that's any issue. I'm hoping that this God or Jesus Christ or what you have, and you guys can call me atheist if you want. I don't really care in this instance, but I'm just stating my opinion is that I think they should be allowed because if this God or this God or Jesus Christ or have you is so accepting, they should be able to accept these gay people as well into their circle because it's not an issue, right? So they're obviously not harming anything. They still believe in God and Jesus Christ. They just so happen to be married, and it shouldn't be an issue, obviously. So that's my opinion on it. And of course, I don't necessarily disagree with them kind of removing books from the schools, assuming that it's not obviously. I would say removing the aspect of just gay people in general. Now, if we're talking about like actually going after kids and stuff like that, that's when I started having an issue with, in particular with stuff like this. Now, obviously, it's a private school, right? So they can do what they want. So it shouldn't be necessarily an issue. But I also agree that a lot of it can be down to maybe preventing from same-sex marriage. Now, if it is from like dating or whatever, then I can kind of see there's a problem with that if there is like a dating aspect. But I don't think that there is. I don't see how there's a problem. I would assume there would be a lot more far out cry for it if this was more likely happening. Yeah, I would not see that this is happening. And I don't think therapy, safe housing, scholarships, monthly and weekly activities, and upcoming events is really is really what they're denying here. Again, I will support the school for what they're doing, but again, it all really depends on what type of form. Now, if it's like books and stuff like that, then yeah, I wouldn't even put like the gay and lesbians or what have you, or bisexual people even in the LGBTQ plus community, because I think they're separate people from all this type of stuff, honestly. In terms of they're just normal people. I think it should just be TQ plus, because obviously it's because in this instance you wouldn't put these people in the same category as like where their rights are being harmed or what have you, but you would put them in the TQ plus type side into the same area. So that's what's happening here. But it's interesting to see that the school is doing this. But I'm all fine with them sticking with their religious beliefs. They are a religious school, so I don't really have a problem with it. I do have my opinions on the matter and how the church has changed some things, but again, if the school wants to do this, let them do it. I have a problem if the school wants to do things that actively harming children. This doesn't really harm children in the slightest, or people in general. So yeah. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.